Welcome to TechNova Podcast. All right, so we're diving deep again today, and this time we're looking at AI research tools, specifically a new one from OpenAI called Deep Research. Sounds familiar. You're probably curious about this AI, right? It acts like your own personal analyst, going through all that info on the web and then giving you these in-depth reports.
Yeah, I think you're interested in more than just what it does. You want to know why it even exists, right?
Exactly. And why don't we start with that why? Our source material is an article about deep research, and it gives us a little hint. Some serious competition going on in the AI world. Apparently, OpenAI, the ones who made ChatGPT, were feeling the pressure from, well, a rival called DeepSeek. They have their own AI model, R1.
Yeah. DeepSeek was saying that their R1 was, just as good as OpenAI's O1 model, but more efficient.
Okay.
And cheaper to make. So that kind of put pressure on OpenAI, to show everyone they were still the top dog.
So you're saying deep research is OpenAI just kind of showing off, like flexing their AI muscles?
Well, you could say that. The article even mentions OpenAI went and showed off deep research to, get this, U.S. lawmakers and officials. And this is according to the New York Times. I guess they really wanted to make a statement, about their innovation and what they're capable of.
Okay, point made. But what exactly is this deep research? What's got everyone so excited? The article calls it, get this, a tool that can create analyst-grade reports. So what does that even mean? Is it just like summarizing things, or is it doing more?
Well, when they say analyst grade, that suggests something deeper, right? Like real insights, not just summarizing. It's like, think of a human analyst. What do? They take the raw data, find the patterns, connect the dots, and then they draw conclusions. Deep research will try to do the same thing, offering those real insights, not just surface level stuff.
Honestly, that sounds a bit hard to believe. Is there anything in the article that really backs up that claim?
Oh, there is. The article has this incredible example. Imagine you're describing a scene from a TV show, right?
Yep.
Any show. And deep research can find the exact episode.
Wait, really? That's crazy. How is that even possible?
That's the power of it. It connects a tiny detail to a huge amount of data. Deep research can go through and analyze information on a scale we just can't as humans.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows a level of understanding that's pretty amazing.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued now. So how does this thing even work? The article mentions something about an optimized version of OpenAI's upcoming O3 model. And end-to-end reinforcement learning, I gotta be honest, that's way over my head.
Okay, let's break it down. So the O3 model is probably a more advanced version of OpenAI's other AI models, fine-tuned specifically for, research and analysis. End-to-end reinforcement learning, well, it's a fancy way of saying deep research learns by actually doing things.
So like learning to ride a bike by, well, riding a bike.
Exactly. Think of, giving a kid a bike and some basic instructions. They'll probably fall, make mistakes, but they keep trying and eventually learn to ride. Deep research, well, it's trained in a similar way. It tackles real research problems, constantly getting better at what it does.
So it's not just programmed with, set rules. It actually learns from experience. That's pretty cool. But how do we know it's any good at this research thing?
Well, the article says deep research was put through a bunch of benchmark tests. Those really tough ones, designed to push AI models to their limits. They measure things like reasoning, problem solving, finding the right info. And you know what? Deep research didn't just pass. It actually did better than OpenAI's older models in some areas.
So it's not just a fancy toy. It can actually compete with the big leagues. Wow, that's impressive. So deep research isn't just a little upgrade. It's a big step forward for AI. But I'm still kind of stuck on how it actually works, practically. What does it mean for deep research to actually, do research? What does that look like?
Okay, so think of it like giving deep research a tough assignment. A research assignment. Something like, find evidence of how climate change is impacting coral reefs. It doesn't just give you a list of websites, right? It makes a whole plan, like steps to tackle the problem.
So it's not just looking for keywords, right? It's strategizing, like a human researcher would.
Exactly. It figures out where to look for info, like scientific journals, news articles, those environmental databases. Then it goes through them, one by one, analyzes the data, even pulls out, important graphs or images.
Wow. That's like having a research assistant who never gets tired and can read super fast. But how does it know what's actually important? I mean, the internet is full of, junk.
Right. And that's where the end-to-end reinforcement learning comes in. Remember we talked about that. Well, through all that training, deep research has learned how to tell the difference between a good source and a bad one.
So it's not just grabbing everything. It actually judges how believable the source is. That's good to know. But I'm guessing there are still some things it can't do. I mean, even experts get things wrong sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And OpenAI is very open about that. Deep research isn't perfect. It can still make mistakes, especially with really complex or nuanced topics.
So it's not a magic bullet for all our research needs, but it's a really powerful tool, right? Something that can help us do more.
Exactly. It's all about collaboration between us and the AI. We still need to use our own brains, our critical thinking skills, to look at what deep research gives us, and then make good decisions.
Speaking of access, you said earlier that deep research is only available in the paid version of ChatGPT, right? What about people who don't have that? Will they ever get to use it?
Well, the article doesn't say anything specific about that, about the future, but OpenAI seems pretty committed to making deep research even better. So I'm guessing they're thinking about making it more accessible.
Yeah, I can see why. Imagine what could happen if deep research was available to everyone. Students could use it for tough subjects, journalists could use it for investigations, and just regular people, you and me, could use it to learn about anything, right? Deeper than ever before.
It could really change things.
Yeah.
Make information available to everyone, help people be more informed. But of course, there are some important questions too, like how do we use it responsibly? What about people misusing it?
That's a great point. Any technology this powerful, well, we have to be careful with it. We need to think about the ethics, you know,
Yeah.
and make sure it's used to benefit everyone.
Absolutely. Like any tool, it's not good or bad on its own. It's all about how we use it.
Mhm.
We need to talk about it openly and honestly, about the good things and the bad things AI can do,
Yeah.
and then work together to make sure it develops in a way that, well, matches our values.
Very well said. It's exciting to think about deep research, and what it could mean for the future, how we learn, explore, understand everything around us. But like you said, we got to be both excited and cautious at the same time.
I totally agree. And that brings us to a question for you, our listener. If you had deep research, what would you use it for?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? All the things we could do with deep research. Like it could change so many fields. Scientific discoveries, history research, even just learning about something you're curious about.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine, just diving into any topic that interests you, going deeper than you ever could before, finding all those hidden connections, maybe even challenging things you thought were true. It's like a whole new way of understanding the world.
Okay, let's not get too carried away. We've talked about the good stuff, right?
Mhm.
But we got to talk about the risks too. What about the ethics of using something like deep research?
Right, that's super important. One thing that worries people is bias. Like any AI, deep research learns from tons of data. And if that data already has biases in it, well, those biases can show up in the results too.
So it's not just about the technology, right? It's about the information it uses and who's controlling it.
Exactly. We need to think about, like, who gets to use this technology and what they're using it for. There have to be rules, safeguards, you know, to stop people from misusing it.
And that brings us back to thinking critically. We can't just believe everything deep research tells us, right? We got to check the sources, think about other viewpoints, use our own brains to decide if something is true.
I totally agree. AI should be a tool to help us, not replace us. It's about, like, finding that balance between what humans can do and what AI can do,
Yeah.
working together, to create a world where everyone's more informed.
That's a great way to put it. So, to all our listeners out there, we'll leave you with this. AI is getting more powerful all the time, right? Tools like deep research, they're going to keep getting better and more accessible. And it's up to us, all of us, to make sure it's used for good.
Stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring.
That's it for this deep dive. See you next time.